Are your business expenses playing hide and seek? With Uber for Business, the small spends that slip through the cracks, like rides and meals, go right where you need them. Because it integrates with leading expense platforms, you can say goodbye to surprise costs, missing dollars, or chasing receipts. Everything's track downable. Uber for Business. Make small steps that make a big impact. Learn more at uber.com/small steps.
After Zoomies at the dog park, it's time for Drive Up at Target. In goes a big bag of kibble and one squeaky chicken toy for the good boy. Drive Up that's ready when you are, only in the Target app. Just tap Target.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold, soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
Jif peanut butter. It's that jiffing good, it doesn't really need advertising. So instead, enjoy the calming sounds of the ocean. Jif. Ooh, it's that jiffing good. Get your Jif at Jif.com.
This episode is brought to you by Polestar. There's only one true way to experience the all-electric luxury SUV Polestar 3, and that's to take a test drive. It can go from 0 to 60 in as little as 4.8 seconds with the dynamic handling of a sports car. But to truly understand how it commands the road, you need to be behind the wheel. Up to 350 miles of range, the 3D surround sound system by Bowers & Wilkins. It's all something you have to experience to believe. So book your test drive for Polestar 3 today at Polestar.com.
Hello and welcome to Islanders Anxiety from Lighthouse Hockey and the Fans First Sports Network. My name is Dan Saracini. Joining me on this Monday evening via Zencaster is my friend Michael Leboff. And Mike, it's been a few weeks since we spoke. It's been a quiet couple of weeks as Mathieu Darche goes about his business and still his first month as Islanders general manager. And the best we can do is some hot assistant coach and hot assistant general manager action. That's all we have. Not a whole lot going on. How are you kind of navigating this very, very quiet time for the New York Islanders?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I miss the Islanders a little bit right now. Like I miss the kind of day-to-day talking, because when they're not giving you much to talk about, it's a little, you miss that part of your life a bit. So I do miss, talking about lineups, roster decisions, etc. That said, and I do apologize if for those listening that I've been battling a cold for the better part of the last what feels like century. So if my voice sounds shot or weird, it's because I have a cough drop in and I might have to cough through some breaks here. But I will say that it's refreshing that there are so many Ray Bennett, Bob Boughner, and Ryan Bowness experts out there now. Just as there were Benoit DeRoger experts when he joined the ranks. So I'm learning so much about these guys and how they're either going to be the best or the worst hires ever. And that apparently Ray Bennett is here because Cal Ritchie recruited him, of course. And so yeah, it's been fun. It's in today's day and age when everything gets kind of just blown out of proportion and thrown under a microscope, whether it's whoever's going to be like the new catering service at the arena or the assistant coach or whatever. Everything has to be kind of just dissected to ad nauseum, and then we just move on. when the real stuff happens, right? So, yeah, I can't say that. I will say that I was just kind of surprised when I saw Bob Boughner's name, just because it was like that's a funny one.
Right.
But yeah, other than that, I didn't really it's just been a kind of weird waiting period here.
Yeah, definitely. Bob Boughner is not a player that was ever associated anywhere.
Do you think they meant
close with the Islanders?
They were just like, yeah, get the Darche was like, get the Bogan. What's his name? Boughner.
The boogeyman.
Yeah, get him. And they're like, oh yeah. He means Bob Boughner, right? Not Eric. Right. He would never mean Eric Boganicki.
No, of course not. If they're going to bring on somebody with 1,000+ penalty minutes in his career, well, I can give you some names. Let me tell you, and one of them wouldn't have been Bob Boughner, but I guess I'm glad he's here. But we might not have a lot to talk about. But we brought on one of our favorites because we always love talking to him. You know him from Hockey Night New York. You know him from a couple of episodes of Weird Islanders, a podcast. Maybe you just know him because he's just an all-around great guy, and he's always everywhere. And he's our friend Sean Cuthbert. Sean, how's it going tonight?
Fellas, good evening. Great to be here. How you guys doing?
Doing very well. It's always good to talk to you. How are you navigating this very, very quiet time in Islanders season land? I guess you and I talked about how the assistant GM Ryan Bowness news literally just came out of nowhere this morning. It's like we were all settling in for our coffee at the office, and all of a sudden, the Islanders have a new assistant general manager. This is a very weird time, and how's it fitting you?
I think exactly that. It's almost like a full summer of Weird Islanders happening right before our very eyes right now. It's funny. You look at these two assistants that they brought in, and one of the first things I checked was to see if either one of them had worked for or played for the New Jersey Devils or the Toronto Maple Leafs. Not the case. So we're really branching off into a new timeline here for the Islanders.
Yeah, seriously. I hadn't thought about that. It's funny. I was looking at the Islanders like sort of team, the management page at the website, and Jacques LaPerriere is still there. I think special assignment or something like that, a special assignment coach. And I'm like, Jacques LaPerriere isn't doing anything for this. I think he just collects a paycheck and has a windbreaker. I think that's basically all we determined he actually does.
Maybe a whistle.
Maybe a whistle. Yeah. Maybe. Here you go, Jacques. So these guys join an illustrious list. If you have absolutely no idea what we're talking about, we might as well back it up a few days. But last week, the Islanders announced that they added former Avalanche assistant coach Ray Bennett and former Sharks and Florida Panthers head coach Bob Boughner to their coaching staff. We can only assume that these are Patrick Waugh hires, I guess. I don't know. Again, I'm not on Twitter anymore, so I don't hear a lot of the scuttlebutt, probably to my own mental benefit. So I don't know. I mean, Sean, in your quote unquote research about these guys, I guess, finding out whether they played for the Devils or not. Do we know how they settled on these guys? Are these like more Darche guys? Again, the assumption is that they're Patrick Waugh guys, but is that what it seems like?
I personally don't know, and I'm not going to pretend to, unlike some of the other experts out there. Exactly. But I'd have to think at the very least it's a collaboration between the two, right? Like, you look at the Tommy Albalines of the past, and maybe that was a little more Lou influence. You could probably draw that conclusion pretty easily. John McClane, obviously. But you'd like to think that Waugh at least had some sort of insight. Maybe he sat down for the interviews, maybe Darche and Waugh did it together, and they were like, okay, these are our guys. But I didn't see anything, not to say it's not out there, but I didn't see anything out there that specifically said, hey, Patrick Waugh handpicked these guys himself.
Yeah, I guess that's probably about right. Yeah, Mike, sounds about right.
Yeah, and I'm guessing that this is the as we were saying, right? Like this is kind of the first time that he's had a chance to shape his staff without Lou Lamoriello hanging over him. Unless, who knows? Maybe Lewis, if Jacques LaPerriere is still around, by proxy, that means Lewis is probably still hanging around. And but regardless, like it feels like this is the hey, no more excuses. Like you got your own staff, you'll have more input on the roster. There's not going to be any Devils that you beat in the Stanley or that beat you in the Stanley Cup final or whatever hanging around. The one thing I will say that in Sean's research was much more in depth than mine. And
barely.
The one thing that stuck out to me was that I knew like Bob Boughner to me was a name from when watching the NHL in my like when I was like 10 or 11, and it was a funny one of those just funny hockey names that like kind of stuck out to you. And I always assumed he was closer to like the Todd Bertuzzi mold of power forward than what he actually was, and this is like something that was in my head from years ago, like when he was with I remember him with the Penguins. I feel like the most, the Penguins and the Preds, like those are the two teams that kind of stick out for me. And I just for some reason thought he was like a guy who'd score 20 goals a season. No. Bob Boughner was that's he's not the type of guy that you'd assume when you're watching him play become an NHL coach, right? Like, right. But this is the funny thing about the sport is like you got Craig Berube, who's this kind of player. Boughner now, he had a couple, like you said, he had a couple stints as a head coach, and now he's an assistant making the rounds. And 630 NHL games, 15 goals.
It's modest.
And 1,382 penalty minutes, and 65 playoff games for him, and no goals either. But it's just I find it so funny that these guys find their ways behind NHL benches. Right. I mean, Eric Cairns
probably because they
like
sit on them a lot.
Yes,
right.
yeah,
exactly.
Right. Yeah. Right. It's like backup catchers in baseball or something becoming managers. But exactly. I mean, welcome to these guys. I couldn't. I remember Bob Boughner's Panthers a little bit. And then I know the Sharks were kind of like right in the middle of their rebuild, or the beginning stages of like their rebuild when he took over. So, but who knows? Because that was when he was a head coach. Who knows what even these assistant coaches are going to do? We just know that Benoit Durocher is the face-off guru. Outside of that, we don't know anything else about these guys. Right.
Well, what we do know about Bob Boughner was that he was an assistant coach with the Detroit Red Wings most recently, who had, and this is where it gets kind of relevant to the Islanders, the Red Wings had the only penalty kill in the NHL that was worse than the Islanders. So hiring him to, I guess, ostensibly be your penalty kill guy seems like a bit of an odd move.
You have to love that.
You have to, right, exactly. You have to laugh. But
it's like the Leafs media was making a big deal about Lane Lambert coming over to fix the Leafs Leafs penalty kill. We're like, wait, do you know what team he was coaching last year with in their penalty kill?
So now we could. It's obviously very funny. We can laugh about this, but we don't know what was going on there. We don't know what's going to go on here. We have no idea who's even going to be on the Islanders when the season starts, let alone on their penalty kill. So, but it is kind of funny, and it's definitely something that's been pointed out. Like, wait a minute, hold on a second. Like, what? Why him? Which I thought was very funny. But yeah, Boughner is one of those guys. It is funny though, and I guess maybe in a way, we're hoping that this is a bit endemic of the sort of Mathieu Darche era, because Darche himself was also a guy from outside the Islanders. Like, Mike and I joked that it seemed like he was always kind of a possibility to become an Islander. He's like a depth forward on Montreal. Like those guys become Islanders all the time, but it never really materialized that way. And he's coming from, working with the Lightning, who are, obviously the team that had beaten the Islanders a bunch of times. So this is an outside voice coming in to the Islanders. Now we have two more outside voices. We'll get to the third one in a few minutes. So maybe this is a good thing. Again, I don't know what goes into coaching an NHL penalty kill. I barely know what goes into watching an NHL penalty kill, but I do think that there's probably a reason why Boughner is here. And I don't know if it has a whole lot to do with, how the Red Wings penalty kill went last year, because I'm sure if you ask the Islanders penalty kill from last season, they'd be like, it was just bad luck, or, whatever it was, something went totally wrong. And now they're going to fix it. So I don't know. We'll see. But like Mike said before, I mean, we're not going to pretend to be experts on the assistant coaches that are hired by the Islanders. The only thing we know about Ray Bennett is that I saw him hold the Stanley Cup over his head in a picture because they won with the Avalanche.
That's a good start.
Yeah, that's a good start. I mean, I have a picture with myself holding the Stanley Cup, but I mean, he earned his. I was there because it was at Nassau Coliseum and making the rounds in the luxury boxes, and I kind of snuck in and took a picture of it. But yeah, he actually earned his Stanley Cup. So. I don't know. Anything else on these two guys, Sean? I mean, there's not a whole lot to know. And, but I got to think that they were brought in for a reason, right? So somebody certainly thinks highly of their work, I guess.
Well, I would say at the very least, the Islanders have hired themselves 2 professional scapegoats, right? Because that's
always
that's
good to have. Yeah.
This seems to go, right? Once the special teams, hit the tank for the Islanders, that's when you see on Twitter and social media when it's time to fire them, whether it's Scott Gomez or Doug Huda or whoever it's been after the laundry list of guys behind the bench. It's all their fault, right?
Right.
Maybe at the very least, if they still continue to stink at special teams, maybe you kind of start looking at the players a little bit more.
Yeah, a little bit.
How many guys can you run back there behind the bench and say, this is all Alboline's fault or all John McClain's fault? Get him out of here. The power play is just dreadful.
I think you just named your next episode of Weird Islanders, the podcast, Sean. We're going to do weird assistant coaches.
Yes.
Guys who were here for like one season, and then we're immediately kicked off the team because whatever they were coaching was terrible. And it's like, no, you're gone. Go on.
Let's do it. I mean, look, Boughner has an interesting resume. I didn't even realize I kind of forgot he was a head coach for as long as he was. I saw, a couple stints with the Sharks, and it was Florida, right? Completely forgot about Florida. Bennett, I mean, this guy's kind of been a lifer as far as an assistant coach. He's been doing it for a long time. He has some international experience. Seems very well respected. So, I mean, look, just like Darche, it's a clean slate, right? Like everybody's going to love these guys until game 1.
Right.
and then, everything's going to change. But I think at the very least, it's nice to get a breath of fresh air here. Again, jokes aside, but you get some guys that who you would like to think Wah had a hand in hiring, guys that he feels that he can work with, that can help him out behind the bench. And I think it's interesting, too, that, they did bring in a guy in Boughner who has had head coaching experience. And, I guess it's going to be interesting to see that dynamic, I suppose, between Wah and him. And even if we see a more unleashed Patrick Wah that people seem to be wondering about, right? Like now with Lamoriello out, is Wah going to show more of his past Wah fire, But, like you said, I don't know what these guys are going to bring to this team. I think it's, it's kind of humorous to watch people say that they're either going to be bad or good.
Right.
Because we don't know. But I'm looking forward to seeing something new. And look, I'm ready to cheer for them if they do well,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I mean, I know in football it matters, right, with coordinator hires and stuff, but I feel like this is a new phenomenon in hockey media, like these hot assistant coach talk. That's maybe this is from the kind of the ascent of like the news podcasts and the insiders becoming more of like having a bigger platform. But because I mean, when the Islanders originally hired John, when they hired Barry Trotz, right? Like we weren't like, okay, like he's also bringing along Jim Hiller and Lane Lambert. We got to devote an episode to those 2 guys and go through there. But I feel like that's what's going on now, not just with the Islanders, but with like every team when they hire assistant coaches, to the point where like I know who assistant coaches are on different teams. Like, oh, that's where Mike Yo's going this year. Okay, cool. And like it feels like maybe we should just try to stop doing that as a hockey society and be like, I don't know if these guys. We'll find out who the assistant coach for the Minnesota Wild is in round 1 of the playoffs when Pierre Maguire's like, and he's there he is. He's running the defense. This penalty kill was they're like dogs on a bone because of this is how he was as a player, right? This is how Jordan Leopold was as a player. Like, that's where Jordan
reminds me of his days with the Erie Otters. Unbelievable.
yeah, right. Like that's how we used to find out who assistant coaches were for different teams back in the day. But now it's this is something that we need to talk. We've now spent 17 minutes talking about them. Although mostly just about how funny it is that these, like you said, new voices, completely different guys off the radar. Like Ray Bennett, I'm assuming is coming in to run a power play for the Islanders. Ray Bennett got to run a power play that had Cale Makar, Nathan McKinnon, and Mikko Rantanen on it for a long time, and he's going to walk in and be like, okay, where, who, what?
Right.
Bob, Bo, sorry.
Yeah, right.
Bo Horvat. Yeah, you.
Tony, Tony,
get out there.
What was Tony D'Angelo? He was here last year?
Right.
Because we played, he wasn't here when we played you guys, right? No.
That guy with the neck. What's his deal? That's Pierre. But it's just Pierre. Oh yeah, right. Pierre.
He's good, huh? He's flying around the ice, right? Like he's going to score a lot of goals for us. Yeah, maybe in March.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. He's got that speed. I was going to say, a lot of times we found out who the assistant coaches were when they left to become head coaches. So that's when it's like, wait, Gerard Gallant is a head coach? All right, he was with the Islanders last year. Oh, Dan Bilesma is a head coach now? Right, he was with the Islanders last year. Yeah. So there's a lot of that. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But, my personal favorite Islanders assistant coach of all time was Jacques LaPerriere. Big, tall dude, big shock of white hair, very regal looking guy. And another guy who, much like Hillary Duff in our episode about Mike Comrie that we did for Weird Islanders, it's like, what are you doing here? Like, you're clearly overqualified to be here. Like, I don't understand why you're here.
How did a rookie coach like Peter Laviolette even pull that off?
I don't know.
Yeah, and they had no money.
Excuse me, sir, I'd like you to run my defense. All right, I'll do it. Why not?
I really like that's a great thing to explore too, because that, like, I know that they had just like splashed some cash to get Yashin and Pekka, like they're getting back to respectability. And to your point about him being your favorite assistant coach, he's definitely the first one that I've ever heard of in my life, because I remember watching like one of those like magazine shows on FSNY before the season. And and maybe one of the biggest off-season additions was Jacques LaPerriere coming to join the Islanders. I'm like, they're making a big deal out of this guy. And my favorite was Danny Flynn, because I think I said it before. It was he looked like the that actor, and you'll remember his name. I think because you said it the last time, and I still can't remember it. But in Air Bud, he played the bad guy. He had he had the thick mustache.
Yeah, I'm looking him up now.
Yeah,
that's pretty funny.
He's in a couple other movies, but yeah, he was my favorite. He was like a bigger version of that. I loved Ted Nolan's crew, him and Dan Lacroix, who was, I think, a Weird Islander, right? Dan Lacroix.
It was Michael Jeter.
Yes,
from,
Michael Jeter.
He always had a mustache. Yeah.
Danny.
Sure.
There was another mustache guy too that I think Capuano had. Was it Scott Allen or something like that?
I was just gonna say third on the list would have to be Scott Allen.
Yeah,
the guy who gave the best intermission interviews before Thomas Hickey. Scott Allen.
Yeah,
he was great too. But yeah, these guys were a lot of fun until they weren't. They were a lot of fun because we don't have like bad memories of them. But John McClane,
I'll tell you what. Back then, we weren't blaming those guys for the special teams.
That's also true.
When did that ever happen? I feel like it began with Scott Gomez, and like ever since,
for sure.
Islander fans have just said, "Oh, well, special teams aren't working. Look behind the bench."
You'd be at a game. The Islanders would be in like a 0-for-26 power play rut in like the aughts, and people would be cursing out Oleg Kavasha. And now you go to a game and the Islanders are shitty on the power play. They're like, fire McClane. I'm like,
yes.
Did John McClane just fumble that puck at the blue line? Was he wearing number 8 right there? Like, was he texting during that play? I don't think so. Like,
I don't think he shot it right into the goalie's chest again.
Yeah. Oh yeah, John McClane couldn't get in the zone again. Jeez.
Yeah. Scott Gomez's greatest moment as an Islanders assistant coach was there was a game was late, and I forget when it was, but the crowd was chanting Barry Trotz. I forget why. And Barry thought they were saying Barry sucks. And he turned to Gomez and he's like, why are they saying I suck? And Gomez is like, no, they're saying Barry Trotz. And he's like, oh, okay. They caught this whole exchange on camera. This is the funniest thing.
Now we know what assistant coaches do.
Exactly.
They translate Nassau column CMEs for the head coach.
We also know what assistant GMs do, which is destroy American Hockey League teams. That's why right now the man who's the man of the hour in the worst way possible is Chris Lamoriello, but it's possible that his replacement may have also been hired, and that is Ryan Bowness, who was named today, again out of the clear blue sky, as the Islanders assistant general manager and director of player personnel. And if we have no idea what the assistant coaches do, that goes double for assistant general managers because they all do different stuff. We have absolutely no idea. I still don't really know what a director of player personnel does either. But this is a pretty lofty title for Bowness. He's 41. He is the son of Rick Bowness, former Islanders head coach for a very brief time, Weird Islanders coach in a way. I found an article. Yeah, I found an article from the Ottawa Citizen about when he was let go by the Senators. And it talked about how he was basically in charge of the American Hockey League team, the Binghamton Senators. And they had, I guess, kind of had what would be considered a middling season. Somebody actually reached out to me on Blue Sky because I was like, I don't know if this is good or not. And they were like, well, he was seen as an up and comer for a while, but the Senators minor league team has become, what was the word they used? Fairly lackluster in the last couple of years. And I replied to them like, well, fairly lackluster would be an upgrade for the Islanders American Hockey League team, which has been a galactic dumpster fire for like 2 decades now. So if we're gonna get lackluster, okay, sign me up for lackluster. I guess that would at least mean that
moving in the right direction.
Yeah, right, exactly. Then maybe we can work on to pretty good. That would be the next step there. But yeah, I don't know. Sean, any thoughts on Ryan Bowness, Rick Bowness, assistant coaches, assistant general managers, directors of player personnel? Director of player development is still, I believe, Eric Cairns. He hasn't gone anywhere. But this is the number one thing with Bowness. And again, we're just feeding the fire here, but we do wonder how this affects Chris Lamorello, who is obviously one of the Islanders' current incumbent assistant general managers and the guy who's been in charge of Bridgeport for a while. But it seems as if maybe Bowness is the guy who's going to take over that operation.
See, I don't know if that's the case because
who knows?
well, yes, who knows? A, but B, my buddy Stefan Rosner, he actually tweeted out today that he's not taking over Bridgeport. Now, I guess this is something that could change, but as of today, as of this moment, that's apparently not what he's going to do. So I guess the next question is, what is he going to do? I don't know. Much like Mr. Bennett, I didn't know this gentleman existed until it was announced they were going to work for the Islanders. So it'll be interesting, but I guess it's like, in a way, I've just looked at it as a positive to say, like, okay, there's new blood coming in. Darche is obviously expanding the staff. He's bringing in people he thinks he can help make this a better franchise, a more successful franchise. So I'm willing to give the guy a chance. And I have to say, his dad has been great on the TNT broadcast when they bring him as a guest.
One of the most well-liked guys across the entire NHL.
Yes, just seems like such a genuine article, super nice guy.
Right.
And if that rubbed off on his son, and I'm sure it did, then it can't be the worst thing in the world to have somebody like that around the franchise, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and there was one person who saw this coming. That was Matty the Usher, who he tweeted this out when the Islanders were in the middle of their very well put together GM search. That he was like, "Oh, I wonder." I remember that I guess Ryan Bowness went to Garden City High School when Rick was here, and somebody knew that Matty knew Ryan and knew that he was like a hockey nerd, and so he threw his name out there. So yeah, Matty was first on this one.
There you go.
So make sure to
well done, Matty.
To credit him. But Ryan Bowness to me is like kind of the same thing I was bringing up about the assistant coaches, which is it became a thing when Kyle Dubas became an assistant general manager for the Toronto Maple Leafs, that all of a sudden we know who assistant general managers were. Like I used to know that the Islanders had Kerry Guider, and that was really it. Like Gar Snow had him,
Ryan
and
Jablonski.
Yeah, Jablonski was running.
Jasnowski, whatever his name.
Sorry. Yeah, Jankowski. Jankowski had great hair.
Yes, and, my apologies.
Yeah. And the way you found out about them was when you went to the home opener. And they would I'd love to be there for the player introductions to make sure that, I cheered for Sven Butenschoen and whoever else, but they would say like, here's the front office staff and the training staff. And so that's how you found out who assistant coaches and assistant GMs were back in the day. And now we know who the up and comers are, thanks to the Insider Network. That's how I knew Ryan Bowness. His name, because I think last year when there were a couple GM spots open, he got some interviews along with that guy who's with the Rangers, whose name always pops up.
Ryan Martin.
Ryan Martin, yes. But I'm just happy that he's here because, everybody loves Rick Bowness, and he's Rick Bowness to me looks like what an NHL coach should look like. Like he just just that is an NHL coach. That's a picture of a coach. And as Sean was saying, you hope that the right lessons have rubbed off on his son, and it's nice. We were talking about like fresh set of eyes and people who have no idea about the Islanders and what it's like to be here on the island, and it'll be fun to introduce them, kind of like Trotz, right? Like Barry seemed to really kind of have his eyes opened about what this all meant when he took over the coach as coach. I mean, even Doug Waite, when he joined as a player and then stuck around too, like he was like, oh wow, this place is pretty great, to the point where I still think he lives here. Him and Garth are still rumored to be on the circuit on Long Island every once in a while on a nice summer night. So that like Rick, at least Ryan Bowness can come in and say like, yeah, I can't wait to have a slice of Umberto's again. I haven't had a slice of Umberto's in 20 years, and he can show these newcomers like the schools and all that stuff that we always joke about. So I like that. I like that he's got those ties to the island at a time of his life when, if he was in high school when Matty was saying Rick was the head coach. I find that's gotta be so funny for someone to be like, oh yeah, I'm moving back to Long Island to where I went to high school for a year or two to be the GM or the assistant GM of the Islanders, and what that means his duties are, who knows? Like, because this is now we're like one step removed from being like, well, the Islanders have they're bringing in accounting firm Deloitte to run the books. Like, we got to do an episode on that, and here's who their new physical trainers are, the strength coaches, etc. Like, we're not too far from.
We're heading in that direction, right?
I know we gotta. Hopefully, we draw the line here where. But I blame Dubas and Tulsky and those kind of culty kind of guys.
Yeah.
We never when Gar Snow didn't sign Ryan Smith, nobody was like, God damn, can't believe Kerry Guider let Ryan Smith get away. And
could you let this happen?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and with Dubas, because you're 100% right, and it wasn't. I mean, it was Dubas, but it was like we heard about the entire litany of like big brains that the Leafs had hired. Oh, this guy and that guy and Darryl Metcalf and the guy that whatever all the
the guy who wrote the
Hunter,
CBA
right?
is now he's now running he's now the capologist for the Leafs. Like, don't care. Okay.
Yeah. Pretty sure all those guys write for The Athletic now too. So,
Yeah.
it's really interesting. But yeah, no, it definitely started and it's changed, and now everybody's kind of got that role. But you're right. Like, yeah, when the Islanders minor league affiliate stunk in the old days, you didn't find out until the season was over, and you're like, really, they were that bad, huh? And B, right. you really didn't, you generally just were like, yeah, well, those guys all stunk, as opposed to like, well, the assistant GM who put the team together, that's all his fault. Like, hey, what? Like,
well, I guess that's the big problem, right? Is like we have so much access to all this like ridiculous information now, and it's just much easier for us to just point fingers and say, oh yeah, this is the reason why, or this is why this isn't working out,
right. I mean, in going back for various projects, finding out how bad the Capital District Islanders were, I never in a million years would have blamed head coach Butch Goring, that's for sure, or goaltending coach Billy Smith. But so in other words, too long, didn't listen for this last half hour. We have absolutely no idea what these guys are going to be up to. But two little bits of trivia here before we take a break and go into our second half. We're going to talk about a couple of other topics, including the upcoming draft, which is still 2 weeks from now, and then some other fun stuff. I thought this was very interesting. Number one, again, article in the Ottawa Sun about Ryan Bowness parting ways with the Ottawa Senators. It's all cool and everything. His contract was coming up. Looks like he may be replaced in the Senators sort of team hierarchy by former Weird Islander Rob DeMaio. So there you go.
We got a Weird Islander GM and a Weird Islander assistant GM now.
You got it. So good luck to the and not a Weird Islander, but an ex-Islander head coach. So good luck to the Ottawa Senators. Somehow they made the playoffs this year. Yes, the Steve Stais, Rob DeMaio, Travis Green triumvirate is really going to lead the Senators to glory for sure.
The Holy Trinity, if you will.
Yes, exactly. Holy Trinity of three Islanders who have probably never met before in their entire lives until now.
No, they probably to this day don't know that one another played for the Islanders.
Played for the Islanders.
Yeah. I remember you were on the Canucks too, right? Right, Stais? Yeah. Most Oilers, Canucks, whole thing. That's me too.
What room did you have at the Marriott? Oh, it was 306. I stayed there too. Like,
I was in the lobby, actually.
Final thing is, so Bob Boughner, who we talked about before, in his NHL career, he racked up a lot of penalty minutes, 1382 specifically, which places him a shockingly low 183rd. On the NHL's all-time list. The leader is Tiger Williams, is 3971, so he ain't getting anywhere close there. It's about half of that. But right behind Boughner with 1379 in 184th place in the NHL's all-time penalty minute list is a beloved ex-Islander, and I want to see if you guys can guess who it is. Sean, as our guest, you may go first.
Oh, man. Can you give me an era at least?
I can give you an era. Early 90s.
Okay.
Early 90s. He would come back to New York, but not with the Islanders. Those are two very huge hints right there.
Richard Pilon?
Oh,
because I was gonna go Mick Vukota, but he didn't dress up for the Rangers.
No. Good guess, but incorrect. Mike,
it's not Casper, is it?
It is indeed.
Oh,
the one and only.
That's a good one.
So 1379 just got beat out by New Islanders. To me, this means that Boughner and Kasparaitis have to have a fight, and the winner actually gets the Islanders' assistant coach job.
I love that. It's great.
Yeah, we got to get Casper. He comes around. We got to get him.
Yeah,
get him a windbreaker like Jacques LaPerriere.
He could. Yeah,
he needs a windbreaker and a whistle.
Right. Dan, you gave those numbers for Tiger Williams, right? Like
right.
Roughly 4,000. What was it? 3,900.
Yeah, just shy of 4,000. 3,971.
So he almost played a full season in the penalty box.
What is a full season?
Not quite there, there, but let's see.
Right.
Yeah, 3,900. Yeah, divided by 60, right there. Let's see, 65.
Wow, 65 games just sitting in a penalty box.
Yeah,
that's amazing. Yeah, this list is hilarious. Craig Berube 7, Pat Verbeek, the great negotiator, at 11. Scott Stevens.
Can we actually talk about Pat Verbeek before we go to the break?
Very quickly.
Yes, I'm very upset with Pat Verbeek right now.
I completely forgot we could talk about this too. Yeah.
Yeah. What on earth is so? Assuming that Zibanejad stays, which it seems like he's going to stay, so thank God. But we were looking at a point where the Rangers were just going to clear $30 million of cap space over a year between Trouba, Kreider, and Barclay Goodrow, and get paid to do it. Like, this is it how this, now you kind of understand why their fan base is the way they are, with like the sense of entitlement and of course this is going to work out. Like, yeah, we're going to sign McDavid and next year, because why wouldn't we? Everything works out for us in these kind of situations. The Islanders they're going to have to like bend over backwards if they want to trade Pierre Engvall, or if they want to trade when they had to give up a second round pick for when they traded Bailey, which was a 1-year deal, $5 million, to a team that had oodles of cap space and could have easily taken that contract and the player and used them for a year. So it just and we have to hear all year long from the 32 Thoughts folks that he is a tough negotiator. I don't know if they know what that means. Like, what?
No. What is he negotiating?
What? It's just unbelievable, man. $15 million that the Ducks have taken off their hands. And people are like, well, thank God he waived it. He did the right thing by waiving his no trade clause. And now everyone's a big Chris Kreider fan again when they spent the entire year. Like, that's the difference between the fan base. I say it all the time. It's like when Bailey left, nobody was like, oh, thank God. Everyone was like, damn, that hurts, man. Like, I'm going to miss him. It was time, etc. Like, but I'm really sad about it. With Kreider, they're like, I never said a bad word about him in my life. Like, it's
Mike, you got the gears turning there for a second. You could probably dedicate like a short episode to just how many times in history the league, like the rest of the league, has done the Rangers favors to help them get players.
Scott Gomez.
I was going to say Scott Gomez again.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Getting Pavel Bure, I think, for a song, even Jaromir Jagr. Like, if you look at even just the names that came back, like I think like Igor Ulanov was the major piece that went back to Florida for Pavel Bure.
Jagr,
like, how does that even happen?
It was Anthony Carter for Jagr almost straight up. Like, what?
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, so even pre-cap era, it was the same thing, right? Like,
Pavel Brendel for Eric Lindros, I believe, was the deal.
1 for 1. Fair trade. Even trade.
Exactly.
Crazy,
I might be misremembering, but this has been a pattern that goes back many years. And the tough negotiator, Pat Verbeek, is just the latest in a long line of general managers who have been happy to just take whatever garbage the Rangers want to send them for however much it is. And it's just so funny to me that and it's not just the 32 Thoughts thing, although I should know by now to stop listening, but it's everywhere. I have heard more about Pat Verbeek and the moves made by the Anaheim Ducks during these playoffs than I have about the Washington Capitals, who not only made the playoffs, but made the second round of the playoffs. I haven't heard anything. It's like they came and they went and they're gone. And meanwhile, every single day is a new update on what the Ducks are planning to do. Are they going to sign Mitch Marner? Are they going to sign John Tavares? What if they sign both of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the Caps coach just won the Jack Adams.
Yeah. Exactly.
Who?
Right. Who? Yeah, he's but the Ducks signed Joe Quenneville, who's, maybe Mitch Marner wants to play for him. Yeah, I'm sure he can't wait to suit up for Joe Quenneville.
Everyone, we already know the party lines, right? Utah.
Right.
Utah's going to be taking big swings. Ryan Smith is a doer.
They want to do something.
The Carolina Hurricanes they're not afraid. They're not afraid just because they ruined, the Rantanen thing went up in smoke. They won't be afraid to try it again, will they? Oh wow!
They're already sewing Marner's number on the jersey.
Yeah. Marner's playing for them. He's playing for Utah. He's playing for Vegas, Florida, and Anaheim. Yeah, and Pat Verbeek, of course. The Ducks have big things in the work this summer.
He's going to facilitate a 4-way trade to make it happen money wise.
Yep. And then when these teams do nothing and July 2nd comes and everyone goes to their cabin, and then they don't come back till September. They're like, oh yeah, you guys want to remind us about all the amazing things that the Ducks had cooking on June 29th and 30th before July 1st, and they ended up signing the Andy Chiodo to a 1-year deal, and that was like the only thing that they did on July 1st. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not going to own up to that. Yeah. Just a tough negotiator.
He is a tough negotiator.
He was negotiating so tough he didn't want to bend into these free agents.
Right. Yeah. He didn't want to just take free Rangers while Chris Drury was handing them out. So we'll see. But yeah, so I'm glad we got that. I
had to get that off my chest. If I would have kept me up at night if I didn't get to say, give my 2 cents on the Kreider thing, because it was just making me so mad.
Yeah.
And he's become like this. I'm so happy he's not on the Rangers anymore.
Yes.
Because he obviously haunted us in the playoffs. Who just like injure the goalie that they were playing against, and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I needed him to stay because he was such an easy, like lesson for people. Like, oh, why Ranger fans drive you nuts? I'm like, well, like this guy's like 3rd all time in points, and they fucking hate his guts right now because he won't waive his no trade clause.
Right.
So now I got to find. Now it's got to be, I guess, Zibanejad is like the new one of that. But.
Yeah. Well, I mean, after they doxed Jacob Trouba's wife and found out what hospital she was at just to harass her, it's another example there too. But you know what? They are more than welcome to enjoy the sunny climes of Orange County and Southern California, take in some Angels games, have a good time out there, and please stay out there because I never want to see either of those two guys in the Eastern Conference ever again. Okay, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk draft. We're going to talk some ideas for maybe, making the Islanders a little bit more, juicing them up, jazzing them up a little bit now that the sort of media shackles are off. And who knows what else we'll talk about. But meet us on the other side. Thanks.
What does every USAA member have in common? Family. We're one big family who supports the military community and their eligible families. And if you, your parent, or spouse served, you could join our family and save big on auto insurance. Visit USAA.com/join today to check your eligibility. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
This message is brought to you by Abercrombie Kids, your place to shop everything they need for a summer full of memories. Kids can never have too many shorts and tees, and Abercrombie Kids has endless options. Planning a water park or beach trip? Get them new swim with next-level comfort. Summer's calling. Answer with Abercrombie Kids. Shop in-store, online, or in the app.
Switch to Verizon Business and get more from your internet without paying more for your internet. Get LTE Business Internet starting at $39 a month when paired with select business mobile plans. That's unlimited data, and with it, unlimited possibilities. Start saving today with Verizon Business, ranked #1 in small business internet customer satisfaction by J.D. Power. Starting price for 25 megabits per second LTE internet plan with smartphone plan savings, plus taxes, fees, and economic adjustment charge. Terms apply. For J.D. Power 2024 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for this day.
So, you just started using LinkedIn Premium. Now what? Well, on your premium company page, you noticed around 7.5 times more page engagement and 5 times more page views. Well done. And now, new clients are messaging you. All because you're using LinkedIn Premium, which helps you get the business growth you want. Think big, small business. Think big. Start your free trial at linkedin.com/premium small business. That's linkedin.com/premium small business.
And now, a word from our sponsors. First is always VintageIceHockey.com, where you can get t-shirts, hoodies, jerseys, and more featuring over 100 classic hockey logos. Vintage Ice Hockey now carries a full line of Islanders Anxiety merch featuring our blue and orange brain logo, as well as our Al Arbor and the Island shirts. And as always, our portion of the sales go directly to the Center for Dementia Research. That is VintageIceHockey.com. Try wines from the Pinot Project. They offer a Rosé, a Pinot Grigio, and a Pinot Noir that was named a Top 100 Best Buy by Wine Enthusiast magazine. All are delicious, priced at less than $15 a bottle, and available at local wine shops and at UBS Arena. Learn more at thepinotproject.com. Please drink responsibly. Very quickly, first, some calendar things. So we're recording this on Monday. It's going to come out on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we're going to put out the call for our next monthly mailbag episode. So if you are a Country Club tier subscriber, you can leave us a question. If you want to leave us a question and hear the episode, become a Country Club tier subscriber at patreon.com/islandersanxiety. We're going to record that on Thursday, and then that episode will come out on Friday. So call for questions Wednesday, record Thursday. Mailbag episode comes out on Friday. Next week, we have a Country Club Atmosphere episode coming out on Tuesday, and our final episode of Weird Islanders, the podcast for this season. In fact, we will be naming our Weirdest Islander of the Year for 2025. I was going to put that episode out on Friday, but you know what? Friday's the draft. Everybody's going to be thinking about other stuff. We'll put it out on Thursday, a day early, just to get it out there. So that will be our final episode of the season of Weird Islanders, the podcast. It's going to be a lot of fun. We love doing this. We did this last year. Who will join Robert Bortuzzo on the list of Weirdest Islanders of the Year? Find out this Thursday on the final episode of the season of Weird Islanders, the podcast. Don't worry, we're coming back next year. This is just for this season. Okay, so this is our final episode of Anxiety before the draft. We'll be doing a couple episodes after the draft and then after free agency, and maybe something special for the draft. We'll see. Stay tuned here. But we wanted to just talk a little bit more about the draft, sort of final thoughts here. Things have shifted, I guess, a little bit more. The combine is over. It happened in Buffalo. Everybody was there watching guys do pull-ups and grip strength tests and things like that. All these asking very strange questions and things like that. We all love that kind of stuff. And everybody came away with the idea that Matthew Schaeffer is a hell of a kid. He's got a great attitude. Just sort of cemented his place as the number one pick in the draft. There's a lot of, movement underneath him for guys. Teams are getting ready to jockey for position. Who wants to do this? Who wants to do that? Sean, where are you right now in terms of the draft for the Islanders? We at first talked a lot about James Hagens. He was the only guy we had heard of. Later on, we were like, oh, this Schaeffer guy, he seems like a pretty good pick at first overall. Is there anything left on the table that is kind of has you curious about before as we enter, the final 2 weeks before the draft?
No.
You're just sick of hearing about it, maybe?
No. But my mind has been made up for a while. And I actually think, not that anybody's been waiting with bated breath to hear, but I don't think I've shared my opinion on this yet. But I've been a Schaeffer guy for a while, ever since I learned that he existed. That's how this works. Because a year ago, yeah, sure, I heard about Hagens and he was the number one guy. Wouldn't that be nice? He's from Long Island. He was an Islander fan. But, once it became a reality that they, won the lottery and they're going to pick number one, you're like, all right, well, let's make sure they're going to pick the right guy here, right? And that's when you start looking into it and you start reading, listening, hearing all about it. And the more I read, the more I heard, it just seemed very clear to me that despite the fact that I would love the story of James Hagens coming to the Islanders, I just think it would be irresponsible to pick him at number one. Especially with everything that's been said about Schaeffer. And of course, there's the concerns about, he only got into 17 games because he was sick and he was hurt. But apparently he was just that good that despite the small amount of games that he played, that he's still the guy. And, and I think, like you just said, to lead into this is, the combine only kind of helped to solidify that. I mean, he seems like a very upstanding young man.
Yeah.
And I just think he's got it all, now maybe he's not going to be a Cale Makar, but the Islanders could use somebody at essentially every position in the farm system. Right. And I feel like, this could maybe be to a poor man's Dennis Potvin for this generation, maybe he's that guy. And you look at some teams that have won cups in recent years and, you have guys like the Hedmans that stick out, the Letangs that stick out, the Makars, obviously. There always seems to be that stud on the back line. And the Islanders could use one of those. We can have another episode about Noah Dobson. but I think Schaeffer is just the guy you can't pass up at number one.
Yeah. And so, like, I'm if you were to ask me, like, hey, who do you want to walk out of there with the most out of all these players? I'm still like, I want to take James Hagens, right? Like, I want the Islanders to have James Hagens, but reality sets in, right? Like, you kind of know that the way these things work, and as Sean was saying, like, the more you read about Mathieu Schaeffer, the more you're like, holy crap, this guy is just he might become like the first NHL player to be canonized the saint while he's like playing. Like, he just seems like the nicest guy. Right. So now I'm setting myself up to that I'm pie in the skying it, right? Like, look, we weren't supposed to have the first overall pick. They got made good on 3.5% odds. So why not just go for broke here and find a way to get them both, or at least root for that? Like, what's wrong with rooting for that? So I'm going into that Friday night rooting for the Islanders to somehow, Mathieu Darche and the excuse me, rooting for Mathieu Darche and the front office to pull a Brian Burke, like, make it happen. And everyone's like, oh, it's too hard to do. Like, it's the job. Like how many people on Twitter have thrown out some absurd trade proposals about how the Islanders can trade back into the top 5 for to make it happen. Like, well, that's one guy's job, is to explore those options. So I hope like hell that he finds a way to pull it off. The one thing I am a little nervous about is, like, it's a win-win, right? It's you've got the first overall pick. It's you'd think it's a win-win, I should say. Schaeffer, and what if the long shot would be Hagens somehow, they walk out with both, whatever. I just don't want the Islanders to snatch a loss from the jaws of a win-win situation, right? Like, that's the one thing that's like a little scary here. Not that I think they will, but they are the Islanders. So, they could find a way to do that. I mean, we've seen some, of course in eras bygone, so it's a different world we live in, but we've seen them turn the number 1 overall pick into a bit of a meal. So as long as they can avoid that, the thing is, like, I'm very excited for the Stanley Cup to end. I hope it ends on, they play once a week. So
yeah,
hopefully this week's game ends it. Because I just want all eyes to kind of just like focus on the draft now, and we can start to really get those gears grinding. Cause I think, and maybe this is, because of my bias, and I'm maybe making a mountain out of a molehill with it, but I feel like we usually hear a lot more kind of hype around a draft than we have this year because of who has the number 1 overall pick. Like, I just feel like everyone's like, oh, God, that's them.
Right.
Like, it's got to be those guys.
Right.
Why couldn't it be someone cool like Tulski? Maybe, you know.
Do you think maybe all these draft experts banded together to just talk up Schaeffer when he's really not the best player?
I mean, I wouldn't put it past
because
him.
it's the Islanders.
Right.
There's a nationwide, North American wide conspiracy to throw the Islanders off here.
How do we get him to not draft the guy from Long Island? It's too on the nose. Oh,
Right.
We'll say, the guy that's been hurt for we haven't seen him play for 6 months. We'll just say he was amazing in those 17 games.
Yes,
Matt Schaefer's walking around like, wait, why? I'm number one overall. All right. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just excited for it. I mean, I keep forgetting that they have the pick. It still doesn't kind of feel real. So, and it's been so long, right? It's been 6 weeks now.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm sick of hearing about it. Like, I wish the Islanders, I don't want to say didn't have the first overall pick, but like, I wish people weren't talking about it, because all I see are people talking about it, which is driving me a little bit nuts, to be honest with you. But I'm just ready for it to end. I just want to fast forward past Game 6. Congratulations, Panthers. Zip. 2 weeks go by, and here we are at the draft, and Mathieu Darche is walking up to the podium to take Matthew Schaeffer, and then we move on. But I do think that there is something to what you were saying, Mike, which is sort of like the 2-for-1 2025 draft pick special, which is like, what if there's a chance, Utah wants to make some moves here, and they got that 4th pick, and if Hagens is still there and the Blackhawks or Sharks don't take him at 3-2 or 2-3, whatever, maybe they can make something happen.
Yeah,
that would be something. And I don't think people would be all that upset about it. Although, obviously they'd have to make a trade, but somebody will find a way to be upset about
it. And it's a franchise that, like, they've been saying for everyone, not just fans. I think like the ownership, everyone knows that this franchise needs a shot in the arm. Yeah. And you think, okay, they've got the number 1 overall pick. That's a shot in the arm. That should be enough. But no, go for it. Like, go do it. Just go. That would be I mean, if they made that happen, my first thing from Saturday morning for me would be like talking to my dad, being like, hey, do we want to consider going back in on season tickets? And I'm sure that conversation is happening. That conversation is happening from Freeport to all the way out there in like Amagansett, right? Like, I think a lot of Islander fans, and it makes the Islanders all of a sudden like the most interesting franchise, at least for the summer, right? Like they just pull off a stunner like that. And that's what this team's been needing. And we Dan and I at least we loved the Lou Lamoriello experience, right? Like having Lou as a character in the Islanders story.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Has been a lot of fun. But the one regret that we had, and we talked about it a lot, is we didn't get like the Lou Lamoriello who does the Ilya Kovalchuk move, right? Like, we didn't get like that Lou Lamoriello kind of doing the thing that, like, you wake up one morning and you're like, wait, the Devils did what? Like, is that he kidnapped Slava Fetisov? What? Like, so we never really got that. I mean, the Horvat thing was as close as we got to, and that was great, but we never got that. And this would be, the type of move that everyone wants a great product off the ice, but you're only playing hockey games half a year. That if you do this, Mathieu Darche becomes all of a sudden like an icon in the franchise, at least for now. So yeah, go. I hope that they are having the conversation, right? That's their job. But I really hope that they understand like the stakes here and the ceiling, how high the ceiling is if they could pull something like that off.
Yeah,
it absolutely. I think the risk, the reward completely outweighs the risk in this situation.
Yeah. I just wonder if they're thinking the same way. It's like, it's very easy for us to sit here and be like, oh man, that would be amazing, right? Get the Long Island kid. He was a big fan of the team. Like, I would love it. Like, please, Darche, if you can figure it out, make it happen. But like, are the guys in the room over there saying the same things to themselves? Like, oh, we really got to make a pitch here. We really got to give this a shot and see if we can bring him in. Like, because like, it's one thing to look at it from our lens, right? But they actually have to look at it from a hockey operations point of view too, right? And be like, does it make sense to give up the assets to get that guy? And do they even like that guy as much as we all do to make it even worth, giving it a shot?
That'd be the real kick is if they do trade back up and then they're like, and we're taking Porter Mortoni.
Yeah, that was going to say.
That would be amazing.
We're taking that Swedish guy, Anton Frundell. Like, that would be rough. But I think listen, the reason we're talking about this is because the tide has very much shifted in one man's favor at this point, and it is Mathieu Schaeffer. And I think everything you said, Sean, was right. Like, at this point, taking him is the best move. Seems like, he hasn't done anything to dissuade people from thinking that. We've heard that, the Islanders took him out to dinner. They were, I guess, very impressed by him. So, I mean, from a hockey operations standpoint, Schaeffer is the guy. But, we still have 2 weeks to go. And Hagens is still there. And, that the desire to have him from Islanders fans is, at least from us, from some Islanders fans, is still pretty strong. And so now we're starting to get into but what if they can make it happen? So that, I was also thinking in the wake of all this, like, and actually it was Stefan Rosner, your partner, who made a point to say that, if Hagens really doesn't want to be an Islander, he'll make that happen at some point. And maybe, and we joked about this sort of like, he'll pull a John Tavares in 9 years and decide to sign here as a free agent. Maybe the Islanders are on the cusp of a Stanley Cup at that point. And we'll see what happens. But
why wait 9 years when you can just Adam Fox your way?
You could do that too. Sure. So
why wait a decade?
Right. So we have these other options that can make it happen. But in all seriousness, I think it's just mainly like just biding our time and trying to come up with something to think about for the next 2 weeks. I can't believe there's still 2 more weeks. Christ, this is just taking forever. Not only is the Stanley Cup final taking forever because these guys are on the Pony Express back and forth from Sunrise to Edmonton, but this whole draft thing, I feel like that the lottery was like 6 years ago. I don't understand. Yeah. I feel like I've been waiting for this longer than I've been waiting for this Superman movie to come out.
We actually have a stake in it.
Years ago, right?
Because honestly, the truth is, if they didn't win the number one, we wouldn't even be talking like this. Just like, whatever.
God, no. I wouldn't care. Right.
Yeah. But now, now we're waiting with bated breath.
Right. Yeah. It's weird to I think that's been the part for me why when I said like I forget that they had the first overall pick. I shouldn't say that. Right. What I should say is I forget how to have it. Right. like that, like how you're supposed to act and like the weight of it and how important it is for a franchise. And I think that's what I haven't acclimatized to is like having the first overall pick at all. Like I'm looking at it as like, oh, this is funny that the Islanders have the first overall pick. Oh no, it's actually really great that that they do, and it'll be fun, and it makes tuning into that draft on the 27th a huge day. And like I was at draft parties for the Oposo draft. The guy we took before Victor Hedman. I was there for Bailey. Like, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch a fan base the fan base galvanize around a night. And, there's really very few shared moments in sports anymore at all. Like,
right.
And and so like, this is one, like the number one overall pick, kind of the whole hockey world comes together and watches at least the beginning of the draft. And the Islanders are front and center for that. And it'll be fun.
I agree. Okay, so I think that's about all we have to say about the draft at this point. Again, I wish I could just go to sleep and wake up and watch the whole thing. But we still have a long 2 weeks of
we're getting into contrarian mocks are coming out now.
Yeah,
I'm surprised the name Misa didn't come up once here, but I guess it makes sense.
Well, Newsday had an article, "Don't overlook Michael Misa." Yeah, I guess. I mean, there are Islanders fans that want him too. That look at him. As a guy. I don't know. Sure, okay, fine. Like I don't know any of these stuff. All I know is that every single day there's a new mock draft at The Athletic, and I'm like, how many times could you guys literally rewrite the same article over and over and over again? It would drive me completely nuts. This is their time to shine. So all the prospect perverts and draft grifters can come out and enjoy themselves, because then July 2nd not even June 28th, their year is over, and they can go crawl back under whatever rock it is that they came out of and tell us who the next year's big ticket pick is, until the Islanders had the first overall pick, and then they'll stop talking about that. But like Mike has been saying, the draft is an opportunity for the Islanders to be the center of the hockey universe for a night, or maybe a weekend, depending on what else.
An hour,
right? Or 5 minutes. Yeah, exactly. Well, it'll definitely be the first half hour of the draft, like the pre-show, the first pick, and then immediately they can be forgotten about, and then it's on to the next thing. But the thing that I have been thinking about since Darche took over, And like Mike said, I enjoyed the Lou Lamoriello experience too, but it was a little frustrating in the sense that, the Islanders couldn't really get any traction in terms of like, publicity or media exposure because it was very limited by Lou's rules. He didn't like players, rookies being interviewed. Obviously everybody had to have the haircuts and all that kind of stuff. Didn't let them on podcasts, which is why Paul Bissonnette hates them. It's a whole thing. And some of that stuff now, I don't think they should go on business podcast, but they now with Darche in charge, I'm sure they're going to be able to do a lot more stuff. And so I kind of wanted to put our brains together to think about some changes the Islanders can make, not trades or, hire this guy, fire this guy kind of stuff, because that stuff has been done to death. But I'm talking about like changes the Islanders can make in terms of media or maybe fan engagement, game ops, that kind of stuff that might be open to them now that Mathieu Darche is in charge and Lou Lamoriello is not. I have really just a couple of ideas. I hope you guys came up with a couple. Sean, can I throw it to you? Do you have any particular ideas as to where the Islanders can go, again, now in this new landscape that's unshackled by Lou Lamoriello, to maybe get a few more eyes on them that, won't, maybe won't look at them as that weird team that, plays for that old bald guy anymore.
Bring back the Bagel Boss Bagel Toss.
Oh,
that's number one.
Wow, you really took this and ran with it. All right, let's go.
It was a Coliseum staple for years, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No, I mean, obviously I'm being facetious, but I mean, who knows? Maybe that's the reason why I went away.
Right. Yeah, right.
But I think, look, I didn't mind the Lou behind the shadows operation that was going on. Like, that didn't really bother me. Because for me, it was just as long as I'm enjoying what's happening on the ice, and for the majority of, or at least for the first half of his tenure, I did very much. And honestly, it almost worked, right? Like, just imagine if they had have gotten through Tampa one of those years and did maybe beat Montreal in the Cup. Like, would we all be shaving our beards and, from here on out and saying the Islanders better stick to it for eternity, right?
Right.
But, I didn't mind it. But now that, that's come and gone, it will be nice to see them operate just as more of a, I suppose, community-friendly organization. And I get why Lou was doing it. Again, the discipline and distractions and all that. But we live in a day and age where you see other teams win championships without that, right?
Right.
Like, clearly that's not what's going to win you a championship here, right? So I mean, even the silly stuff like letting the players just have some personality and their and facial hair and stuff. And I think that can go a long way on social media. And we're already seeing like a touch of it, right? Like, I think we've already seen some posts, on various social media outlets where, the Islanders have a personality again. Oh, was that a joke? Oh,
yeah.
Are they using memes?
I've already noticed more players posting to Instagram, for example. So like Bo Horvat has been on Instagram more in the last like 3 weeks than he was in the last 2 years. Like,
there you go. And even Boquist posted about, after signing his contract. And I was like, wow, these guys do live outside of the rink,
Yeah.
So I think it starts there. And, or even just when they hired Darche, I saw hallways of, I guess that was UBS Arena that I've never seen before.
Yep. Yeah. 100%.
I didn't know those rooms existed.
Yeah.
Look at that. And they had the frames, the framed photos on the walls and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think that's good. And obviously, he's nearly half Lou's age, right? Or at least it feels like it.
Right.
And it'll just be good to see them kind of be current with media. And it would be nice to hear a player go on the odd podcast here and there and just talk about, not only what's going on the ice, but even life outside of it, right? Because this is a team that's, as much as they're trying to be corporate, after opening up UBS Arena, it's still very much, a team of the people. Blue collar, and the people that are buying season tickets aren't suits. It's still, hardworking locals, right? And, the fan base loves this team. Like, almost you could argue to a fault, Right. And if they're going to be more willing now to engage that and, get more involved with the fans and just have more, even events outside of the games, like, that's a great start. I think that's just a way to endear them to the fan base, because we're already reading about how the shine of the buildings come off, right? They're not as successful as they were when Lou and Trotz came in. And once again, it's kind of like the old refrain from even back when they were at the Coliseum, where if they're not winning hockey games, people aren't buying tickets. So they have to find more ways to engage this fan base, to entice them to stay involved with the team, even if they're, either missing the playoffs entirely or losing to the Carolina Hurricanes in the first round. So I don't know if I have any like very specific, ideas, but just the fact that they now have an opportunity to break those chains and have the people who were hired to make those ideas actually follow through with those ideas. I actually have a buddy who, works with the team, and, he's told me that there's certain things that, ended up on the cutting room floor, because of the Lamoriello regime. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of that stuff actually come to fruition and see how it plays,
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, ultimately the Islanders are going to be a team that is kind of driven by victory and winning, that's always going to be the case. But getting some more kind of experimental stuff out there would be great to see, whether it's a bagel toss or something like from inside the arena for sure. Mike, what about you? I mean, you probably go to more games. I don't know how many games you get to go to, Sean, every year. I barely get to go to any, but like you go to probably more games than either of us. So like maybe from like a game ops perspective, like is there anything that kind of, or even from, I mean, you're also on Twitter too. I mean, any other kind of perspective where you think that they can make some quick changes?
Yeah, like Sean, and I think we've kind of both said this over the years, Dan, is like I want to see them just be like more authentic to what it is to be like the Islanders, right? Like I don't want them to see like, oh man, the Carolina Hurricanes did something funny, so we got to copy that, right? Like that's the last thing anybody wants. So like to me, it's just to Islanderify the game ops, and the presentation to me is the best thing. Like I love seeing, hearing like a Billy Joel song when you're at a game or anything like that. I mean, the bagel toss is a great example of it. Like lean into.
Love that we're going back to that.
Yeah. No, it's true. Like because one of the things that I was thinking about when we were talking about doing this episode was like the chuck-a-puck, right? You remember the chuck? Right. You get those.
Oh yeah.
You buy you'd buy 3 orange foam pucks and throw them, and whoever lands closest to the target at center ice wins whatever. Or the Remax blimp dropping tickets, those kind of things. Like essentially. Go onto Sab's Islander YouTube page, find a full game from the Islanders from like 2007, and be like, okay, like let's see what they did in between the whistles. Okay, I see somebody repairing asbestos in the ceiling. We don't need to worry about that. But we'll
don't bring that back.
Yeah, there's some funny stuff there that I think we loved, and we kind of saw when the Islanders went to Brooklyn. And Sparky went away, right? And how like the backlash was surprising to even me, because I always thought Sparky was hilarious, but Sparky represented a very weird time for the Islanders when they essentially were like, "Well, we need to have a mascot. We don't maybe we lost the other suit, and we've got the New York Dragons prototype here. Let's just make it that to save money." So like, but they brought Sparky back, and it's doing stuff like that, like bringing the Sparky of Sparkiness of the Islanders out, to me is really important.
Speaking of that, if I could just cut in for a second, would you guys have thought for a second that A, Niles would be brought back, but B, be brought back under Lou Lamoriello?
Right. That's true. Right?
Let's put that in perspective for a second. Well, and they kept him not just for the reverse retro year. They're like, you could stick around. Why not?
And he wasn't. He kept his beard. He was allowed to wear his beard.
he slimmed down.
Yeah,
he did hit the gym.
I mean, Niles with the beard is scary enough, but Niles without the beard would be like nightmare fuel. That would be very, very.
Well, bad. That would just be like a guy named John.
Basically, exactly.
He kind of needs the beard, right?
Just the whole fisherman thing. Under Lou is also somebody must have really pushed. I don't know if maybe it was Collins or maybe one of his bosses or something, but I mean, so like there were little moves here and there, but ultimately, and listen, Mike and I have talked about this at length too. Like somebody had asked us on a mailbag episode, like what do the Islanders need to do to become a bullshit media darling in the eyes of the hockey social media world, and the answer was not have an 83-year-old general manager. And so now they've done that. Like they've moved on from that. But, Long Islandizing the operation would probably be good. I don't know. The Islanders just may never be that team that is like invited to the cool kids table. Like I've kind of understood that, but I just feel like there is one of these things about this sort of era that kind of bugs me is that people haven't kind of attached themselves to this team the way that obviously for us, we're fans, but like, I feel like there is a lot more people out there that would have maybe found their way to appreciate this team from outside had they been given the opportunity. Like, the Clutterbuck, Martin, Cizikas line for some people, I think might have been pretty cool, but the way they were sort of framed as like these sort of, roving band of dreadnoughts or something that, runs around and claims heads that's just not accurate. Like these guys are just buds. Like we call them the uncles, for God's sakes. Like they're just friends. They got kids. Like they're all hanging out. They're drinking coffee. Like that's them to us. They're buds. They're three buds. Meanwhile, to everybody else, they're just villains. So, I think that, they missed out on a little bit of that. Maybe they would never have had it either way, but I am hoping for a little bit of that. Mike, actually, you mentioning to Long Islandify the thing a little bit more, I actually added. So I had 2, but now I'm going to add that 3 because to me, the easiest way to more Long Islandify the Islanders game ops is to remove any mention of the Empire State Building. We've talked about this. I get it that the Malkin family owns the Empire State Building. That's a lovely accomplishment. Congratulations. More power to you. I hope you own it forever. I don't need to see the Empire State Building at Islanders game. Yeah, so I just don't. I just don't get it. It's so the first time I saw it at a game, I was like, that was the Empire State Building. That's weird. Right. And then I started noticing it more and more and more and more. And then we found out that they own it and stuff. And as you said, amazing accomplishment. Absolutely.
Hell, if we owned the Empire State Building and also owned the Islanders, would we probably try to shoehorn it in? Yeah, but you've done it enough. Enough. Just every time you think that you want to put the Empire State Building on the Jumbotron, just slap the big duck up there, and everybody will be like, "All right, let's do it," or just like put up a picture of like the Mulcahy's marquee or something, and all of a sudden, that you're taking a step in the right direction because you're playing the hits, like, and that's what everyone wants you to do. Just play the hits, and that's, and also you can also play the not hits if you want. You can go real deep, like, because another thing I was thinking about, Dan, before we go back to yours, is lean into the bad years, like lean into those, right. like there was some really shitty times.
Throw Rick Bowness up there.
Rick Bowness, but like you gotta acknowledge, like 1997 happened, like it just did. It's like. It all this stuff happened, and you can't just run from it. It's the first team. I'm telling you, the first team to do that, to like really lean into their dark years and like have like a night where they honor the 1999-2000 Islanders that finished last and got the Islanders Rick DiPietro. Like it's the 25th anniversary. Like that. It might sound like a stupid idea. But I actually think that fans will appreciate, especially this fan base, like, because if you played for the Islanders, like you're an Islander, like we love you for the most. Like there's like a very select few, and Kirk Muller isn't coming to 1995, 1996 night, right? No. Like he's not coming.
In fairness, they did do some decades nights, and they did bring back some of those obscure players.
Yeah, keep bringing those guys back, man. Like I think you should. Or if it's like the anniversary of like a game in that season where something crazy happened, you can bring out, whoever, like bring out
Mike Haley.
Yeah. Bring out Mike Haley. Right. Exactly. Celebrate the fight night thing. And
sure. I mean, or Mariusz Czerkowski was the guy I was thinking of. Like,
what's Robert Reichel doing these days?
Sure. I mean, all these guys are still, I think, mainly around hockey. Like Mariusz has shown up to different things. Like he would be a perfect example to just get out there. So yeah, I mean, again, just you got the right idea. Just replace the Empire State Building with the Montauk Lighthouse, Roosevelt Field Mall. Right. I don't know, whatever, anything that's not that.
I don't mind the Empire State Building, guys. I just wanted to get that out there. I don't mind.
It's a thing. I don't mind. But like, I just don't get, the Islanders are just,
they're trying to be New York's team, and maybe you look at it from another angle, and this is the Islanders encroaching on the Rangers' territory. You know what I mean? Because the Rangers have had all the territories, since their history.
But
right?
I mean,
so
Connecticut now, North Jersey, like all
yes, Long Island.
Right.
Yeah,
so why not steal away some Manhattan Islander fans, right? Like,
I guarantee you, if you go to a Ranger game and they're showing their little, G up the crowd montage before the season, like there's our Temi Panarin scaling the Empire State Building, because.
Well, I was going to say, okay, fine, we'll meet in the middle. We keep the Empire State Building, but we have Sparky climbing it like King Kong.
I love that.
He's like swatting
Absolutely.
airplanes and stuff from the top of the.
I think that's a great idea.
That makes a great idea. All right, we have come to a decision. I like this idea. No, but I appreciate your dissenting opinion on this, because I'm sure if somebody's ever played this for Scott Malk, he'd be like, "You guys are assholes, man. That's my building." Anyway, so that's number one: is get rid of the Empire State Building, or maybe keep it and have Sparky be King Kong. That's number one. Number two, and I've been beating this drum forever. Please change the goal song, Mathieu Darche. I'm begging you, please. Anything.
I'm into that.
Yeah,
I'm into that.
Although, even if you,
I do like the woos.
Yes, no,
so you got to pick a song that still works with the woo.
Right.
At the end.
We keep the woos, we keep the woos, we keep the yes. It's just the first beat after watching Kyle Palmieri score a goal needs to just be more than whoa,
I'm with both of you guys on that.
It's got to be something else. I don't. And once again, going back to Billy Joel, I don't care if it's like the piano, like talking with Davey. Like I don't care about
actually,
that, right?
fellas. Let's get real progressive here. Let's give every player their own goal song.
I mean, teams do it.
Right? That's a new thing.
But the one thing that kills me about that is I loved everybody singing in unison when they had the Gary Glitter song, and what if there's a shot from the point and it's Adam Boquist, but hey, maybe Anders Lee tipped it. Like, then what are we doing? And I don't know what song to sing. Am I singing the Notre Dame fight song, or am I singing?
Well, that's up to the PA guy,
right.
Or woman, right?
Yeah,
that's up to them.
I just want to. I like it needs to be to your point, Sean. Like the woos are great, but I don't want to. The first thing I'm thinking after a goal is like, I can't wait to get to the woos. I want to sing the song first. I want to sing, and then I'll get to the woos, and then I'll get to the yes. And then
I can truly appreciate the in unison thing and everybody singing along, but like just imagine like that number 6 defenseman who has just this obscure song as their song of choice. Like I think that could be fun too, but I can appreciate everybody being on the same page.
And it's been how long has it been now? Because it was
too long. That's my thing. Even if you like the song, it's been around too long.
It's been too long. It's been.
I guess there just hasn't been enough dissent, right? Because when Barclays used that awful goal horn, they were like, all right, we'll fix it. And same thing with the thing at UBS, the thing they had Tonelli cracking in the first game, right? They're like, all right, guys, say no more. We'll get rid of it.
That's right.
That was the best.
Yeah.
But they kept the goal song. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what. Well, that brings me to kind of a secondary thing. And obviously you would have to check with him. But as far as music in the arena goes, yes, you got to change the goal song again. I'm tired of it. Pick something else. It's been entirely too long. But my other thing with music is let Paul Cartier cook. Just let the man play, right? You got a great organist. Let him play.
I love that you brought this up.
Don't play. We don't need to hear all the, you could put in some music, whatever you want to play, Chapel Roan or whatever is popular at that point. That's fine. But like, you got a great organist who's been there forever. Just let the dude play. I don't understand why, I mean, he plays, he's there, but I want to hear more. And I want to hear like less sort of pop music. But I mean, is this a thing you're thinking of too, Sean?
Well, yes, I was thinking about this exactly, but from a different angle. So I love having the organ in. I think that's just a great callback to hockey's past and all that. Yeah. But now here's the question. Is Paul just kind of being held back, or does he just have a limited library?
It's entire. Well, it's
like,
possible.
because he does, you know his hits, right? You know what he's playing every game. But then like I'll watch an LA Kings game and they're doing like an organ version of Depeche Mode or Tears for Fears, and I would love that. Like throw in some more, and that's not even contemporary, but throw in some more contemporary stuff. That would be more fun. Instead of just the typical "Let's Go Islanders" or the two syllables for a goalie. God forbid they had a goalie nickname that wasn't 2 syllables. Everybody would be fire in the building chaos. But yeah, let's unleash him. Maybe he's got to do a little more homework and learn some songs. But I love it.
I'm with you 100%. Yeah, make it. It's not supposed to be some show up and expect and some formulaic thing, right? Like you go to the game. You're going to hear the DJ is going to be playing songs and whatever. it should be an experience, and it should be a unique experience. It shouldn't be cookie cutter. And to me, if you have an organist cooking, as Dan was saying, like that becomes a part of the identity of the team. Like everyone's like, oh, they need a personality. And I feel like everyone just defaults to, that means we need to see like Matt Barzell on Twitter videos, like eating peanut M&Ms and trying to like guess what color he's eating, right? Like that's not what we want to see. I want what I personality to me would be exactly that, right? Like, oh, the Islanders organist is goading the Rangers with a song, or he's goading Kyle Dubas with a song, or whatever. Like he's goading John Tavares with a song. Like that's what I want. I want personality to me is that, right? Like
he only does the chicken dance if the Islanders are up like 6-1.
Yeah. Which,
like, okay, if it's a 2-1 game either way, the chicken dance isn't coming out. It's like gotta be a rare Islanders blowout, and then you'll hear the chicken dance.
But let him take the handbrake off the organ, baby. Let him just go to town on that thing, because that would be, wouldn't that be just nice? Just like sitting back and waiting for the puck to drop, and you hear it, like Sean was saying, you hear like Tears for Fears or something coming on the organ. Oh, God, it would just be wonderful. Right. It would be amazing. But these are the kind of things that, kind of just disappearing from not
This is why we hired Mathieu Darche.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Exactly. All right. Yeah. Mark Bergevin was really into just, he wanted, top 40 hits in between the whistles. But
Ledecky was like, give me your top 10 playlist.
Yeah. Right.
Your Spotify playlist.
Here's the thing. Pierre Engvall just took an offensive zone penalty. Are you going to the organist, or are you going to the DJ? But I feel like everything is so cookie cutter across the board in all sports that you need to, because everyone hires like these marketing consulting firms, and they're like, oh yeah, let us take over your game ops, and we'll fill the dead air. You don't need to even do that. Like most of the people aren't spending 30 minutes on a Monday night talking about organists and Bagel Boss Bagel Toss, right? Like, but you don't need to do that. Just let these things organically happen, and I think that eventually they go in the right direction. Or if they don't, you find out, like Sean was saying about the thing that with Tonelli, like you find out very quickly, and people and then it becomes part of a joke, and it's fun. It's like, it's not nobody's mad that they did that. We're just like laughing about it now. Right. That they tried that. Like, that was funny. Like, all right, just change the goal song now.
Right, I agree. But again, this is all contingent upon Paul Cartier being down with it. Hopefully he is, though. But
he comes into work tomorrow, and his boss is like, Paul, we need you to learn about 80 new songs by October 1st. He's like, what?
It's all Sean Cuthbert's fault.
Yeah, exactly.
Learn Tears for Fears tonight.
Here's Pink Pony Club. Just go, trust me. People are gonna like this. It's gonna be great. But yeah, no. So and also the other thing too is like, the Islanders again are uniquely kind of situated for that experience. I mean, I kind of, I know they're playing in a new building, but like they're still kind of an old school mom and pop team, and I think that the organ music would lend itself to them more so than say, Carolina Hurricanes or something like that.
They're like a bowling alley. Like it's like
exactly.
Like the Islanders are a bowling alley more than anything. Like they're just a place that people go to have a nice time, and they don't particularly care about spending tons of money in the shop. They just want to go bowl and have fun and then go home. Like,
yeah, exactly. My last thing though, and I feel like maybe Mike, you and I might be at odds at this, because I do kind of want to see some like behind the scenes stuff with some players. And I know that like hockey players get the sort of the blanket thing that they're boring. And I think a lot of them are kind of boring, but I think a lot of them more than are boring. I think a lot of them are very guarded. Like they don't want to let themselves be seen, kind of open and aside from like their kids and stuff, for whatever reason, they don't want to like, let themselves to be open to like chirps on the ice or people coming up to them in the grocery store being like, you got to stop doing it. Like, but I do think that there's room for the Islanders to kind of do that stuff. And I don't mean that like, Matt Barzell has to have a camera crew living in his house 24/7 like Kim Kardashian, but like at the same time, I think there's stuff that the team could do to highlight some of the things that these players do in their spare time that makes them fun to hang around. Because like they ask the players every year like, who's your funniest teammate, and then they'll always be like, oh, it's these two guys. But then you never hear those guys say anything funny. They do the interviews. They're never you never see them kind of like be that person. Maybe a little bit of that I think would go a long way. Again, not too much. We don't want them to become like self-aware, like way too like the Hurricanes ironic Twitter account. We don't need that. Please don't do that. But a little bit of personality beyond just like hockey playing dad, I think would go a long way and get people to kind of be like, oh, Bo Horvat's kind of a cool dude. Like, yeah, okay, yeah. Or Anders Lee is the other guy. Like, I don't know why the entire league doesn't love Anders Lee. Like, he's just a great dude, right? And I just, he's got his charity thing. He's great on the ice. He's a handsome guy. He's an American. Blah blah blah. I don't understand why this guy isn't like a superstar that everybody knows and loves the way that they do some other players. So I think that would be fun to like kind of learn a little bit more about him. But again, this is contingent upon the players wanting that because he's got a bunch of kids too, and he might not want be followed. But it doesn't have to be at home. It could be just at the rink, going to get coffee with them and just like hanging out. What's his coffee order? That kind of thing. So I don't know. Maybe I'm being silly. And again,
no, you know what?
Yeah.
You just brought back a memory for me. Like, remember when Healy and Flatley used to do the Heels and Flat show?
Yeah, exactly.
Like something like that. I mean, we don't know if we have a heel or a flats on this current Islander team. But like, I mean, that's kind of awesome. Even that's 30 years ago, right? That they were doing something like that. And that was really cool. And maybe there's something to be said about doing something like that, on the side, just to kind of show that there's more personality, because that a lot of these hockey players have it. And like you said, like they just seem to be a little more reserved with it. And I get you want to keep things a little more professional. I understand that. That's one thing I respect about the NHL is that they've been able to kind of carry that for so long, is this kind of professional aura about them. But like, if you got guys that are making the players laugh in the locker room, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to let at least the fans in on some of those laughs.
A little bit, yeah, a tiny bit.
Yeah, it just depends, right? Like the last thing I need is to have like a fit check, like
I
don't.
That's fair.
Yeah, like I need that. Like, I mean, I needed to see what hat is William Nylander wearing to the game today coming up the bus? Oh, that's so cool. That's so Willie Styles. But like I think that the direction that those kind of things should go in is like you were saying, like what do you love about being an Islander? And that could be like you were saying, Dan, like, do you love the coffee around, the area Garden City you live in, like all that kind of stuff. And that stuff to me is always great. Like, I love one of my favorite bits of Islander kind of B-roll is the from the 01-02 season with Cairns and Parrish and the Animal House. And like, there's like that inside the NHL Network in its infancy, if it was the NHL Network back then, did like a 30-minute segment with like each team and it's like a magazine show. And they did like a 5-minute segment on that. So like that stuff's fun. And during the pre-Lou, Garth era, you'd hear stuff about like, Matt Barzal living with Dennis Seidenberg and those kind of like insider things are fun.
John Tavares at Doug Waite's pool house or whatever.
Yeah, like those things are fun because they become part of like the lore and the fabric and whatever. And that we still joke around about like the Iceworks shadow team and stuff like that. like that kind of stuff is fun. It's just like the fine line, and this could be me just being kind of past the generation that kind of stuff is geared towards and not part of that demographic that appreciates William Nylander's dangly earring and his sunglasses getting off of a Greyhound bus.
There are a lot of slow motion videos of players getting off buses. There's a lot of that. Don't need it.
Yes, I don't know if we need. I you know what? I'd much rather see them on the bus. Be like, what are they playing? AC/DC?
Really?
What's going on? I don't need to see like who's wearing socks with their loafers today. Don't care.
Well, that's only on the Stanley Cup DVD, so they got to win a cup first.
That's
true. That makes sense. Who's the worst Mario Kart player? Who's cheating at cards? Like that kind of stuff,
Right.
Yeah. A lot of fun. But I mean, again, I don't want them to become like a self-aware media machine where it's like constant 24/7 bullshit. But at the same time, a little would be really neat, and maybe we'll get some draft stuff. You never know. But like to Sean's point, this isn't what they hired Mathieu Darche for. But at the same time, the shackles that had been previously there have been removed. The wheel chocks have been pulled off. So let's let them fly a little bit and see if, maybe again, they can make a little bit more of a stamp. Because as Mike and I have said over the course of this season, God knows how many times, at way too many points, it has felt like the Islanders are not part of the NHL. Like they're doing their thing. I mean, it wasn't until January that they won 3 games in a row, right? So like they just were not part of the NHL season, and it would be nice if they could be part of the NHL season a little bit more, with a little bit more personality here and there. Now, it helps if you win on the ice. But
then if they do, don't they lose that unique luster of being the the special child at its own
true.
table?
No, it
maybe
it's
possible.
true. I mean, I remember in 8th grade.
Be careful what you wish for, man.
Right. Yeah.
In 8th grade, my mom went to a parent teacher conference, just like one of the normal ones, and my social studies teacher was like, "Oh, yep, let me take you to Michael's seat where he's sitting currently," and she took my mom to the last seat of the middle row, and she dragged the desk to the back wall, and then she turned it around to face the wall. She goes, "Yep, Mike's sitting in this seat facing the wall for the next 2 weeks because he just won't shut up in my class." So like, and there is, and I felt a kind of a sense of pride of that, of like showing up to social studies every day, walking to that seat and dragging it to the back wall and turning it around. And like that's kind of, I guess, what the Islanders are like in a way.
You were probably somebody's hero too.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, and it's something that my mom still brings up all the time. And when, I remember, speaking of teachers, like, there is, that is a good point, Sean. And it's something I think about,
it's that misfit crew about the Islanders and the fandom that kind of brings us all together in a way, right?
And it's like another fine line, right? Like we want to be a part of the NHL in terms of like the result, like the stand, like it would if Twitter and the internet didn't exist and everyone was looking at the standings still in newspapers, and someone picked up like the Los Angeles, the LA Times, and the sports editor forgot to put the Islanders in the standings and like never rectified the mistake last year.
Put the Ranger logo next to the NYI.
Like twice. They just kept printing the Rangers record twice. Nobody would notice because the Islanders were just so inconsequential to the rest of the NHL in terms of their results. So in that regard, for sure. In the other regard, like I do like the kind of you won't get it until, because you just never will get it because you're not an Islander. Like you don't understand what it's like to be. This kind of
like just think about it. People still don't understand why Islander fans are upset with John Tavares.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Right. They're still like, what the hell is wrong with these people?
Dan, I sent Dan a podcast from the Leaf Report with James Myrtle and Jonas Siegel this past week, where they were talking about Mitch Marner's return game, and they were like, well, at least it won't be as poisonous as it was on Long Island, and right, James? And James like, I don't think anyone's gonna throw snakes at him or plastic snakes on the ice. And these guys, they didn't have the self-awareness to bring up the fact that 3 weeks prior to that episode that they recorded, during the middle of a playoff game, their own fans were throwing at jerseys and beers at Mitch Marner while he was still playing for the team.
Right. They didn't even wait till it was over.
Yeah. They were throwing stuff while they were saluting the fans on their way out the door.
It could never get that poisonous.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. So, but maybe again, we've hit upon sort of the middle ground, which is like, maybe they can show more of that stuff that is also in that vein, in that sort of like weird, team vein. So like the Islanders can be more out there, but also not lose their identity as that sort of weird suburban team that nobody really understands, like they can do quirky stuff and show a little bit more personality while also kind of, letting.
Maybe that's what they need to do. Maybe they need to lean into the quirk.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, sounds good to me.
That's the sign off of Weird Islanders, right? Dan ends every episode with the same slogan, which is keep the Islanders weird.
Right.
Which is like, that's Notre Dame has played like a champion today, and the Islanders should just, Bo Horvat before he goes out to the ice taps, keep the Islanders weird.
Love
there
that.
You go. Well, then I want to be paid. Right? I want to be
That's
fair,
fair,
right? Okay, we have covered a lot here. This has been so much fun, Sean. It's always great to talk to you. What's going on with you this summer? Like, what are your plans for the draft? All that kind of stuff.
I'm still figuring that out, actually. We'll see. I mean, we got just less than 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Might go to the draft, might not.
Right.
The party, I should say, not the actual draft.
Right.
But I wish I had a more clear answer for you, but that has yet to be settled. I will be paying attention one way or another. Just looking forward to, seeing what happens, make sure that they actually do pick the right guy, see if there is any drama. And then I'm just curious to see what, summer number one looks like with Mathieu Darche. And you have everybody with these like lofty expectations. And I don't know if there's going to be too many fireworks going off this summer.
It doesn't seem that way, right? Everyone's like, oh, no, it's just going to be the same thing. It doesn't seem like they're going to take a scythe to this roster. Like, oh, all right.
I mean, we still do have to get to the draft and free agency before we draw those conclusions, but it just has this feel of, maybe he's waiting a year. I kind of think, not to go off on a tangent, but I kind of think this could kind of be like not a throwaway year, but a kind of a readjustment year before he really decides what he's going to do. Maybe take the season to see what he has, not only in the players, but on the bench, because who knows if Patrick Waugh will be the coach after the season. We don't know.
Yeah, no, I said that kind of
evaluation year.
Yeah, right. I basically said that too. Like, it's not a throwaway year, like this exact thing, but there's a lot that he's got to figure out. And how do you make those things happen? There's a lot of guys tied up in contracts that are quite long. And we'll see. But yeah, I think people kind of had this expectation that he was going to come in and be like, you, and you, out. Just like, people thought this was like, have you ever seen the movie Lean on Me with Morgan Freeman, where he plays a guy named Joe Clark, who kind of took over a school in New Jersey? Real story. Guy took over a school in New Jersey and made it like, it was filled with like drug dealers and, bad students and whatever, bad grades. And then within a year, they were like all passing their tests and stuff like that. And that was a true story, but like it took over a year. It didn't take 2 hours. And like, I don't know if he showed up and started throwing people out like Morgan Freeman did, but that's not how it works. So, but yeah, no, it's possible that this is just a year where there's not a ton of change, which I think would upset some people. But at the same time, I don't think he's here just for a year. I feel like he's here for a long time. So we'll have to see. Everybody knows you obviously from Hockey Night in New York, but where can everybody find you before the season, during the summer? Where's the best place to see? I know you're on both Blue Sky and Twitter, so let everybody know where they can find you.
Yes, you can find me at Shawnee Hockey on Twitter, and then you can find me on Blue Sky at ShawneeHockey. Whatever you put after that on Blue Sky .app.social, whatever it is.
Yeah. But make sure you do that. Obviously, make sure you listen to Hockey Night wherever it is, Twitch, YouTube, podcast, wherever. And I hope you've had a lot of fun.
Oh, I had a great time, boys. Thanks so much for having me. This was great.
This has been great. It's always great to have you on. Hang on for a few more minutes while I do my spiel here. Become a member at patreon.com/IslandersAnxiety for ad-free episodes and bonus content. Or you could just you could join for free and you get our weekly release calendar. So make sure you do that one way or the other. Patreon.com/IslandersAnxiety. Oh, Sean, you have a Patreon too. Tell everybody where your Patreon is.
Oh, yes. Patreon.com/HockeyNightNY. It's quiet for the summer. You can check it out. You can subscribe, but basically it's in quiet time for the summer. We're reevaluating for next season. In fact, there's a lot of quiet time going on right now at Hockey Night in New York, but,
okay.
But we're working behind the scenes. We'll be back. We'll be back in the mix, but yeah. Thank you, Dan. Patreon.com/HockeyNightNY.
Yeah. I'm sure you can join there for free too, because I think you could do that for all.
Yes, Patreon. You can.
So keep an eye on that as well. So yeah, make sure you do that. You can find us, and you can find Hockey Night New York on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube, everywhere our podcasts are. Please leave us both a review where you can, because it really does very much help. Our theme song is Morning Haze by Family Dinner. Listen to more of their music on Spotify. Read Lighthouse Hockey every single day for your most up-to-date Islanders news and discussion. Islanders Anxiety Podcast are part of the Fans First Sports Network. Shop at VintageIceHockey.com. Try wines from the Pinot Project. Mike, where can everybody find you on Twitter?
The Big Lebowski with 2 E's. But as I've been saying, I've been weaning myself off. I think I've been doing a pretty good job with that, and I'm hoping that come July 2nd, when everyone's up in the cabins in Muskoka, that's it for me on Twitter. Yeah, and then I won't really need it anymore.
Especially if you've been feeling sick, the last thing you need is to read Twitter.
Oh yeah.
But any final thoughts on any of the many subjects we touched upon today? Assistant coaches, assistant GMs, Pat Verbeek, the great negotiator, or any of the other things?
Yeah. I'm just thankful. I'm thankful that I don't have to negotiate with Patrick Verbeek. I'm happy that Sean, if the Islanders bring Sean in to help with their game ops, he doesn't have to make a case for the bagel boss bagel toss against a great negotiator Pat Verbeek. But no, it's been a lot of fun here tonight with Sean to talk about this kind of stuff while Ryan Smith is out there doing big things with the Utah Hockey Club and taking big swings. God, I hate them all.
Big swings.
I hate them all. I just really do.
Once again, had a great time with you guys. Mike, you talk about Twitter. I don't think I've posted on Twitter in like a week, and I think that's a record for my entire existence on Twitter. But it's been nice, just
growing.
taking a step away.
You're growing. You're learning.
Letting other people do the talking.
Exactly. So sometimes that's the best thing you can do. Is just walk away, which is great when you're a podcaster, let me tell you. But we will be back in a couple. We'll be back next week with a brand new Weird Islanders, the podcast. We'll be back after that with our post-draft podcast. But like I said, maybe we got something going on for the draft. I don't know. We got to see. Wheels are in motion. But keep your eye on the Patreon. Like I said, you could just join for free and you can get our weekly release calendar there. We have a bunch of stuff coming up before the end of the season. So it's a little bit up in the air. We're going to try and get as much out as we can before we wrap things up with our post-free agency podcast, probably on July 3rd, but again, to be determined. Thank you very much for listening. We will talk to you again very shortly, one way or another. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.